मौत हो यारी। नूर मौलाना शाह करीमुल हुसैनी हाजरी माम, या मौलाए मेहरबान मदद फरमा, मदद फरमा। हस्बुनल्लाह व निअमल वकील व निअमल मौला व निअमन नसीर। हस्बुनल्लाह व निअमल वकील व निअमल मौला व निअमन नसीर। हस्बुनल्लाह व निअमल वकील व निअमल मौला व निअमन नसीर। हस्बुनल्लाह व निअमल वकील व निअमल मौला व निअमन नसीर। हस्बुनल्लाह व निअमल वकील व निअमल मौला व निअमन नसीर। हस्बुनल्लाह व निअमल वकील व निअमल मौला व निअमन नसीर। हस्बुनल्लाह व निअमल वकील व निअमल मौला व निअमन नसीर। शुक्रिल्लाह वल्हम्दुलिल्लाह, शुक्रिल्लाह वल्हम्दुलिल्लाह। Ya Ali Madad to all friends.
Maula Ali Madad.
Maula Ali Madad.
Maula Ali Madad.
Maula Ali Madad. So Alhamdulillah, we are going to continue with our study of the Farman number 40, and which is of August 31st, 1899. When we reached that Farman, we remember that there were two very powerful paragraphs, and we got stuck there because we wanted to study it in the depth. Tell me, Karim, do you see my Farman screen now? I've changed my screen.
We see the PowerPoint presentation.
You see the PowerPoint, okay. That is always a challenge. Sometimes it works, sometimes it just... So let us read these two paragraphs, because we have to remember that how the Hidayat of Imam is so encompassing with time, with all the resources we have of knowledge, but we have not looked into the Faramins the way we need to look at it. So we have to continue to see that there are only two paragraphs, and remember that even though if we spend few classes, we will not be able to finish the pearls of wisdom which are given in this Faramins. Because I believe the way Hazri Imam said that it requires you to do years of study to understand Quran. And I believe when we really study Quran in detail, then only we can, in reality, in its totality, will have some understanding of the Faramin of Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah, Maulana Hazri Imam, because Faramins are full of pearls of wisdoms. So let us recite Salawat, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. રૂ બદનમાં છે તે કેદખાનામાં છે, મોમિનને વાજબ છે કે કેદખાનામાંથી રૂને કાઢીને સારી જગ્યામાં રાખે. રૂ જ્યાં સુધી બદનમાં છે ત્યાં સુધી કેદખાનામાં છે, તે જોવામાં આવશે નહીં. રૂ બદનમાં છે ત્યાં સુધી તે કાંઈ પણ જોઈ શકશે નહીં. જ્યારે બદનમાંથી નીકળશે ત્યારે સર્વે જગ્યા જોશે. જ્યાં સુધી બદનમાં છે ત્યાં સુધી આગળ પાછળ આજુ બાજુ ક્યાંય પણ જોઈ શકશે નહીં. મોમિનને આ ખ્યાલ જોઈએ કે કેદખાનામાંથી નીકળી જાઉં તો બહેતર છે. So those who do not understand Gujrati, let me quickly paraphrase that Maula says that when we look at our soul, the soul is in the body and body is like a prison. And it is compulsory for a moment to take the soul out of the body. Until the soul is in the prison, the soul cannot see it in any direction, front, behind, right or left side, it cannot see it any direction. But when it is out, it is able to see everywhere. Therefore, it is incumbent on Mubin to get the soul out of the body. And Mubin always have to be thinking, reflecting, khayal karvu joiye, right? It's very important to understand the world of imagination, the world of reflection, khayal, it is all connected, all different words, but it is same essence. World of imagination. That take your soul out of the body. Mubin has to always think like that. દુનિયામાં રહેવાવાળા માટે દુનિયા જહન્નમ છે અને રૂહ બદનમાં છે તે બંદીખાનામાં છે. જો તમે અક્કલવાળા હો તો આ બાબતનું ખ્યાલ કરો. અમારી કહેવાની જરૂર ન હોય. Now, very interestingly, Imam says that, in the world, people do worldly things, and if you are just the resident of the physical world, then it is like living in a hell. Whereas soul, when you look at the soul, it is in the body, it is like in the prison. So actually, even here, Imam is giving us darja, right? That for a moment, who realizes that the soul in the body is like it is in the prison. But those who are, intellectual, Mu'minins who are intellectual, they will constantly think about it. That how do I get my soul out of the body? And Imam says that I don't have to tell you that. So, at times we have to really reflect, why would Imam say that? Meaning that Imam must have told us so many times, and we don't, pay attention to his faramins, and we take things for granted. And Imam says, I don't have to tell you again and again. I don't have to remind you. Tell me, how much do we like reminders, because we constantly continue to forget, right? But it is mercy of Imam that he gives us hidayat, and he tells us as well that I don't have to tell you. I don't have to remind you. Meaning, we have to find ways and means to remind ourselves that why we are on this planet Earth. તમે તમારી અક્કલથી સમજો. Those who are using their intellect all the time, like doing this, exercise of using the intellect, when you do that, it helps you to stay in remembrance. If somebody thinks to stay in remembrance is to doing zikr all the time, reciting just yali 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 without using intellect, then it is like a parrot. And that's not what we say. When we are saying stay in remembrance, we are not asking anybody, or we are not telling ourselves to become a parrot. Because if you teach your parrot a zikr, parrot will continue to do that because that's what he knows. So we are not on this path to become parrots, but intellectuals. When we say we have to stay in remembrance, when we really sit and focusing on our zikr, even like doing chores at our home, but we can sing loudly the zikr, our mind is with the zikr. So zikr, whatever, Isme Azam we are reciting, whatever zikr, Quranic zikr, whatever we are reciting, we have to have complete understanding, and our minds, our intellect should be with it to see the effect of it. Otherwise, there will be no effect, because it is like a parrot. And that is why when we do understand this knowledge superficially, when we do zikr ibadat for the sake of it, then it does not help us. It does not make us happy. It does not help us do Giriya Uzari. It does not stay with us. We have to remember it, because we continue to forget it. So remember, there is a key to all these things, and that is actually our intellect. We have to use our intellect all the time. Continue to reflect, continue to think. And then we will be able to understand these paramis. તમે તમારી અક્કલથી સમજો. Think with your intellect. તમે સમજો કે રૂહ શું છે. We have to think what is the soul. Now, how can we think if we have no knowledge? And in order to seek knowledge, you have to use your intellect. So do you see how everything is interconnected? તો તમને ખબર પડે કે તમારું રૂહ બદનમાં કેદ છે અને ત્યાં સુધી ક્યાંય પણ જઈ શકશે નહીં. Imam says, when you do that, when you think and reflect what is the soul, then only you will know that the soul is in the prison and it cannot go anywhere. So by studying Faramins, Qurans, Ginans, we realize that yes, our soul is kind of in the prison because we are not able to see the Batini world, right? Now, do you see my slides, Kareem?
No, we just see the Farman. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. So, okay. All right. So, you all remember that we had taken these key points from these two paragraphs we just studied. First is soul. Second is to understand this cage, this prison where we are. Good place. Remember good place, we will talk about it. And then unable to see, blind people who are unable to see, right? Can see when the soul is out. A moment will be able to see when the soul is out, and they'll be able to see all places, all directions. One has to do khayal, and world is like a hell. Wise can only see. Those who do not use their intellect, they will remain in cage and they will not be able to see. So these two bold points we had taken, and we were studying these Quranic verses. And the verses which are in red, we have done it. Now today we have to do the other verses. And let me try once again. Do you see my Quran or no? Okay.
No, we just see the PowerPoint presentation.
So Karim, you're my witness. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work. I wish I can conquer how to do that. Inshallah.
Because what's happened is that you're using your browser to display the Quran
Uh-huh.
and the presentation, but your PowerPoint is from a separate application.
Ah.
And you are sharing the application, so that's why, yeah?
Yeah.
It only shows one.
It only shows one. All right. So the first verse which we are going to study today is from chapter 7, Surah Araf, verse number 164. And when we look at the translation of this verse, Shah International says, and when a community among them said, why do you advise? So community, do you see the word ummatun? So the reason I always try to show Arabic when we don't know Arabic much, and then we have transliteration, I believe that if we were to study Quran, with words, I recall when we were young, I do not know how did you learn the meaning of dua, but back home when I learned the meaning of dua, each word was given as translation and then you learn the meaning of the sentences. And I think that habit has helped me, and I think I continue to promote that habit, that when you learn some words and when you see those words, you are able to learn the meaning. So when you continue to do that, you will have vocabulary, and then you'll be able to study the verses itself. So inshallah, it's a journey. Imam says it takes years, so we'll continue to study. So here, Khudawan Ta'ala says, when a community among them said, why do you advise? Who are they saying it to? Prophet Muhammad. A people whom Allah is to destroy or to punish with a severe punishment. They said, to be absolved before your Lord, and perhaps they may fear him. So when Prophet Muhammad was giving hidayat, and probably somebody asked that why do you advise them according to the wishes of Allah, those who are really idol worshippers and they will be punished, why do you advise them? So what is the relationship of this much verse to us? Remember, we just talked about Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah saying, I don't have to tell you, you should remember. But we continue to forget. Those nations who remain in this forgetfulness, it is being asked, why do you advise? When you know that they will be destroyed, they will be punished. Because those who live in forgetfulness, what is the destination? It is not Asal Makan. Right? So what is the answer? Prophet says, to be absolved before your Lord, and perhaps they may fear him. There is always this hope that we continue to repeat, remind, advise. There will be some who will wake up, who will remove, living the life of routine, of mechanically living the life and doing just worldly chores. They will remove this blindness which they carry, that all in this world is just this world and there is nothing after this world. What matters is my worldly problems, resolving these worldly problems, living in control and living the life. There is nobody else, nothing afterwards. Meaning, living the life of blindness. So, very interestingly, when Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah teaches us that why do I have to, remind you? You should use your intellect to remember that. This is the different way of teaching through this Quranic verse, that why do our Imams, our Prophet, continue to guide us despite, they have guided us so many times, we continue to forget? The answer to that is that they may turn towards God, they may become pious, they may fear Him, they follow the path of taqwa. There is always this hope that someone would wake up and someone would, walk on the path. So truly, we are studying Farmans which are 100 plus years old. Why? Because it is a hope, it is a desire that when we read these Farmans and use our intellect, we will wake up. We will wake up and we will not be lost in this world. Because this world is magnetic. Like you are mesmerized in this world, busy with the family lives, and nobody sees outside this world. So the objective is to help us remember, wake up from that deep sleep, that this is not the real thing, this is the dream. Then the second verse is 10 by 36. And it says, and most of them follow not, except assumption. And if you were to look at this word, yatibu, the word tawbah is in it. The root word is tawbah. And most of them follow not, except assumption. Most of them do not return, do not follow, do not do tawbah. Indeed, assumptions avail not against the truth at all. Indeed, Allah is knowing of what they do. Let's read Dr. Ghali, what he says. And in no way do most of them ever follow anything except surmise. Surely surmise avails nothing against the truth. Surely Allah is ever knowing of whatever they perform. What does that mean? People live in assumption. People believe what they see in this physical world. Surmise, which is going to end, which is going to die, which is not permanent. Instead of thinking of what is the truth, Hakikat is behind this world. But it is only with intellect that we will live in this world, do what we are doing exactly now. Nothing changes, but we change. Our thinking change. Our eyesight changes. So knowledge changes us from inside out. Outside the world does not change. Everything remains the same, but we change. But what majority do? They never come out of living the life of the world, which is assumption. It is not the real life. Hakikat is something else. But we are given this test to come to this world and follow the worldly duties so we can remind ourselves that we can actually get our soul out of the body. Soul, which is in the body, it is in the prison. But this physical body has to do everything in this physical life because these are the duties which are assigned to this body. But this body is not just the body. This body has a soul as well, who needs nurturing, who needs nourishment. Similarly, it will be only with the knowledge we will realize that there is intellect as well, which needs nurturing, which needs nourishment. Now, those of us who are parents, how hard work we have been, done to help our children to learn the worldly knowledge, to become capable and be able to stand on their 2 feet, to be able to survive in this physical world. Have we done anything to help them to nourish their intellect, to have this spiritual knowledge, so they can be, successful in hereafter as well? Have we done anything for ourselves? If we don't do it, how can we teach our children? Until children who have not seen parents doing it, how would they do it? So all these, verses we are reviewing, it is to highlight the importance of intellect. And this blindness which we carry, despite of having physical eyes, we are blind. That's what Quran is teaching us. Right? The next verse is 11/21, Surah Hud, verse 21. And in this, Khudawand Ta'ala says, those are the ones who will have lost themselves, and lost from them is what they used to invent. Oh, Mafi, you know what? In 10, I think this has moved. I just realized there is more verses in the 10. 10/42 and 44. Okay, so you are still seeing my Quran, right? Okay. So in chapter 10, there are more verses, and I'm glad that I remembered. 10/42 and 44. So let's review these two. And among them are those who listen to you. But can you cause the deaf to hear? Although they will not use reason. Now this was very powerful verse, even when I was looking into verses to share with you. When you teach or when we listen to Faramins, right? Everybody is listening. Everybody is listening. But when there are those who are deaf to hear, will they use their intellect? Will they reason? It is so amazing to realize that when we study these Faramins and study these Quranic verses, God knows us. Khudawand Ta'ala knows us. How do we behave? When we live the life of mechanically doing everything, even going to Jama'at Khana, listening to Farman, even coming to ilm classes to feel good for temporary time. What it is, it's said in this verse that there are those who will listen to you. But how are they listening if they are deaf? Nothing goes inside them. Temporarily, for a few minutes, they'll feel good. They might feel guilty, and afterwards they'll forget. Because whatever the world throws at them, it is more important. Let it be the worldly pleasure, let it be the worldly test, worry, difficulty. They will be, totally get invested in that, and they'll forget. So they listen, but actually not. And interestingly, the following verse says, and among them are those who look at you. But can you guide the blind, although they will not see? How amazing that is. Meaning, among the group, when Imam is giving us farmans, he's teaching us, he's guiding us. Everybody is there. But Khudawand Ta'ala says that how can you guide those who are blind, who don't see? Similarly, when we listen to these, ilmi classes and we listen, and it would be shocking that everybody is listening, but there'll be few who will be truly listening, will be truly following, and you witness their change. But then there are deaf and then there are blind. How do you guide them? You cannot, because they are blind. Simple as that. No matter how many times you tell them, things do not change, things do not progress, right? Indeed, Allah does not wrong the people at all, but it is the people who are wrongdoing themselves. Now, do I need to explain this? I am sure we all understand. La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minaz zalimin. That's the zikr for us. Because Khudawand Ta'ala very clearly says that it is not Allah, it is not Imam, They are guiding us. The Noor is guiding us. But it is the people who are doing wrong to themselves. How are they doing wrong? By remaining blind, by remaining deaf, by not using the intellect. It is good to listen, it is good to read, but if we don't work on that, we don't follow the hidayat, what is the benefit? So Quran has talked about it, what Imam Sultan Ahmad Shah is teaching us. He's reminding us again, right? So we wake up. And then we have chapter 11 and verse 24. All right, so let's go to verse 24. This one says, Surah Hud, the example of two parties is like the blind and deaf and the seeing and hearing. Are they equal in comparison? Then will you not remember? It is truly like slapping us, right? There are two parties. Khudawand Ta'ala says there are two parties. One party is actually blind and deaf. They cannot see, they cannot hear. And the other group is seeing and hearing. Is there any comparison? Now, we are not talking about others here. We are talking about us as Jama'at, as in this class. When we listen to Farmans, when we study these sessions, everybody is there. But in that group, there are two group of people. And why am I saying that? I'm not trying to judge, but I'm trying to be very critical of this knowledge, because we need to be critical. Otherwise, we will not think. And if we think right now, it will not remain with us. And Imam very clearly has guided that I do not need to tell you. I do not need to remind you. So we all are in this journey together, trying to understand why Imam would talk like that, why Imam's hidayat would be like that. Because everywhere you look, there are two parties. Don't go even far. It could be in your family, in your extended family, in your friend circle, in your Jama'at. It is applicable at every level. We should be able to use this knowledge and apply, not telling anybody, not judging, for us to wake up. Remember, this knowledge does give you eyesight. You can see things, you can realize things, but that would make you more humble and more giryan to pray for everybody around you, for our Jamaat. These two parties, can they be same? No, they cannot be. Within Jamaat, there are darajat. And those who are seeing, those who are hearing, are elevating their ranks. And of course, they're higher, they're above the other party. They cannot be same. But do we see Imam's mercy? He makes everybody, all the Jamaati members to sit in front of them, and Imam gives hidayat. Imam gives hidayat to everyone. Remember the verse we studied earlier? So we would wake up. So we would wake up. Why do they continue to advise? Why would Imam do that? So we would wake up. But Quran says this very clearly, that there are two parties. And can they be equal? We are being asked. Use our intellect. We are expected to use our intellect. And then decide for ourselves, where do we belong? Which party do we belong to? And where do we want to stay in future? So again, it requires us to reflect and think importance of the intellect. Then we have 13 by 16. Now it's a long verse. It says, say, who is Lord of the heavens and the earth? Again, Khuda Ta'ala is asking us question. Who is the Lord of the heavens and the earth? Say, Allah. Of course, who is the Lord? It is Allah. Have you taken besides him allies, not possessing for themselves any benefit or any harm? Then remember, those who are idol worshipper, how could the Buddh Parasti was going on, right? And it is being said that how these idols would help. They cannot benefit or harm themselves. Remember the story in Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam? Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam used to teach people that do not do, idol worshipping, believe in Allah, who is one. And there were very many idols they were, worshipping. One night, Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam breaks all those, idols. He leaves one, the bigger one, the biggest one. He does not harm it. And the hammer he was using to break all other idols, what he does, takes the hammer and puts it on the shoulder of that biggest idol. In the morning, the worshippers, they go to their, worshipping place, and they see all the idols are broken on the floor, mud and rocks, right? And they get worried, who did this blasphemous thing? And they said it has to be Ibrahim, because Ibrahim is the only one who speaks against them. So they called him, and Hazrat Ibrahim comes in that area and he says that, why are you asking me? Why don't you ask your God? He's standing here and he saw what happened at night time. And they looked at each other's face and looking at Ibrahim. He cannot answer. Then Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam says, why do you believe he does if he cannot answer? Your prayers he cannot answer. Why do you worship him? So this was just a story from history. But remember, if we only stay in the history, meaning that this Quranic verse or this talimat is outdated, and that cannot be true. So have you taken besides him allies not possessing for themselves any benefit or any harm? How do we apply this to ourselves? Have we made this world a buth? Have we made our children a buth or spouses a buth? Anybody, anywhere. If we are not using intellect the way we ought to live our life using our intellect, then it is buth parasti in any different forms. And then it says, say, is the blind equivalent to the seeing? Is it possible that blind can be same as seers? No, it cannot be. Or is darkness equivalent to light? अंधेरा क्या रोशनी के जैसा हो सकता है? नहीं, बिल्कुल भी नहीं, right? Or have they attributed to Allah partners who created like his creation so that the creation seemed similar to them? This you can look into very many ways, and in the history we see people created this buth. In today's scientific world, AI and whatnot is going on. We see very, very strange things are being created by these scientists, and some of these scientists think that they have become God because they can create. So again, we can apply this verse in any a time to understand how it is applicable to us today, and how do we need to stay aware that the creator is only our Lord Allah. Say Allah is the creator of all things, so he is the one, the prevailing one, and the prevailing. Do you see Al-Wahidul Qahar? He is the one, Al-Wahidul Qahar. Wahid meaning one, and Qahar, with his majesty, with his Qahar, prevailing. In properly, the Tawili meaning is that the one who forcefully makes everybody one. So Allah is creator. No matter what scientists do today or what was done in the history, forcefully He's all going to make us unite with Him. Remember, there is another kulya, another key concept, which is tohan wa karhan, willingly or unwillingly. There are those who will use their intellect, who will understand that blindness cannot be same as seeing, darkness cannot be equivalent to light. So they will wake up willingly and will desire to change their lives, change their being, to benefit from Sirat al-Mustaqim, to benefit from the Ismaili Tariqa, from the Hidayat of Imam, from the Talimat of Quran, willingly. But those who will not be willing, those who live for this world and will die for this world, they will also have to come back to Imam. But it will take very long. For us, when we are studying this Farman, when we are attending this Ilm Majlis, for us it is glad tidings that we can wake up right now and follow the Farameen, so we can take advantage of this lifetime and be able to take our soul out of the body, to come out of the prison, to be able to see what is out there, what Imam wants us to see actually. So very, very important verse to have this comparison, that can the blind be same as seers? Or the darkness can be same as light? It cannot be, right? All right. So next verse is chapter 17, verse 72. And this one says, and whoever is blind in this life will be blind in the hereafter and more astray in will. Very, very powerful verse. It should make us giryan. Because if we are those who are blind, what is being taught to us that if we remain blind here, we will be blind in the hereafter. What does that mean? We can understand this in very many ways. Remember, Tawilat is not just one. There are so many layers of understanding, right? Those who are blind here will be blind in the hereafter. And if I were to take the example, because that's what we understand, right? Asal Makan. And we all will be united with Imam. If we are blind, will we find Imam in the hereafter? Because we cannot see. Sirat al-Mustaqim is a path. If we did not walk on the path because we were blind, we did not walk, path will lead us to destination. We will not reach the destination. Asal Makan is a destination. We will not reach the destination. In fact, to the extent that they will be more astray, meaning far, far away from the destination. And our destination is our beloved Imam. Can we imagine being away from our Imam? But that is what the guidance given in the Quran. That those who choose to remain blind, or the way Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah in his Farman is saying, that I don't have to remind you, meaning there are those who remember, who realize, who wake up, again go back and become blind. Again go back and become blind. They'll drop the ball and then again they want to restart. Then drop the ball, then again they want to restart. They will only remain at the start point. They will never be able to go further. So whoever is blind in this life will be blind in the hereafter. In fact, more astray. This is like, ultimatum for us. Oh, we cannot remain blind in this world. We cannot. We want to stay, awake, alert with intellect and follow the hidayat of Imam. So we are not left behind. So it is very clear for us the guidance of Farman in the light of Quran. It is not different. And believe me, this verse, there are very many tawilat. My hope is always to keep it so simple and relatable that we understand. And when we are ready for higher studies, it is good idea to study the books. Because when we study the books, which we do, book studies on weekdays and on weekends, when we do book studies, it helps us to understand Quranic verses in great in-depth. And when we are a seeker and learner of Quranic verses and Quranic tawilat, talimat, then it helps us understand Farman in great detail. So I don't want to make the study of Farman so difficult that we are, having a challenge. But the request is that there is a higher step. If you are truly interested, it is to do the book study, join the book study, doing the pre-reading and post-reading to continue to learn about this concept. Otherwise, we will remain blind because blindness has darajat as well. Blindness has darajat as well. So let's think together, right? And reflect. If someone who does not go to Jama'at Khana will not listen to Farmans or Ginans, but then there is the one who goes to Jama'at Khana, listens to Farman and Ginan and regular in Jama'at Khana. The person who's going to Jama'at Khana is definitely better than the one who does not go. But then there is a person who is in Jama'at Khana who's listening to Farmans and Ginan and understand what is being said. And this person is just rolling the beads of tasbih, not paying attention what is being said in the Farman or Ginans. What is the meaning? Because they just want to do the tasbih. They remain deaf to what is being said in Jamaat Khana. Dua is another one, right? Dua is so mechanical. The way we say dua, we don't even realize that dua is being said. Mind is somewhere else. If you don't understand the meaning of dua along with the translation, how are we going to connect to dua? So I hope you are seeing there are levels of blindness. There are levels of blindness, and this blindness continues to go further and further and further. So it is not limited. It is not limited. Every step you have taken, you have eyes. But if you stop there, you become comfortable, then you don't have the eyes for the higher step. Journey is long. Steps are very many. Darjat are very many. We have to continue to elevate, continue to climb up the stairs. And for that, you need consistent desire to elevate, to reflect, to think, and use intellect. So for 13 by 16, we had studied, there was another point which I wanted to make from the slide. Let me take you to another point here. So when we studied, right, 13 by 16, it says that can the seer be equal to the blind, or the darkness can be equal to light? Remember that verse we studied? Now this is Cascade of Pearls, volume 1, question 209. Allama Sahib was asked, please explain, what does this similitude mean? And what is explaining? So, mind-blowing that I thought we should study it. So he says, a dervish saw in the world of imagination that a dignitary, Buzruk, was giving him many pairs of spectacles, one after the other. Its Tawili illusion became known that many eyes can come into existence in one's individual's external eye. So here he's referring to his dream. In one of his dreams, he had seen that there was a Buzrug Hasti who came to his dream, and he was distributing glasses to everybody. And of course, when he woke up, he says, what does that mean? And then later on, he writes here that receiving glasses in your dreams is as if we are given the eyesight. People like me who have, glasses, meaning that my own eyes will not be able to see clearly. I need glasses to see clearly. The Tawil is, when we study this Quranic verse 13 by 16, it actually is telling us that, except Imam, who is the perfect man, each one of us has blindness. But all does not remain blind. When they learn, they receive these glasses to be able to see things clearly. So we all live in the physical world, but there are some who continue to wear these glasses to see, what am I doing? Why am I doing? How am I doing? Everything they are watching. Constantly they are watching themselves, their deeds. So if we understand that the blind cannot be equal to seers, meaning we all have to wear these glasses of intellect and continue to wear it. Do not remove it. And that's why Imam said, I don't have to tell you that. Meaning we will never remove these glasses. He does not have to remind us. And what will happen to us? We will continue to progress. We'll continue to progress. We will take care of this level of blindness, then this level of blindness, this level of blindness. We'll continue to be able to see. Thus, if someone has not attained the eye of certainty, in reality, he's blind. Those who do not have ilmul yaqeen, they are blind. And ilmul yaqeen is not just one thing, one ladder, one step. It is a continuous journey. It's a long journey. And after ilmul yaqeen comes ainul yaqeen. The seer is the one who can see all the external and internal miracles of true religion. Meaning, to be able to have ilmul yaqeen reach to ainul yaqeen and go further, then you will be living in this physical world, looking everything what is outside and taking care of your worldly life, but seeing the miracles which are hidden from others' eyes, but you see it. Miracles of a true religion. By darkness are meant levels of ignorance. So this book is translated by Dr. Sahib and Rashida Sahiba. They do say in bracket levels, because there is a level of blindness, level of ignorance. The fountainhead of knowledge is living. He has several streams, and the greatest of them is related to knowledge. Fountainhead of knowledge is Imam, Sir Chashma Il, where the knowledge comes from, right? He's Imam, and this streams which comes from him, it's not just one, there are several streams. But the greatest stream is stream of knowledge. Very, very important part. So I think, should we stop or let me go to next slide, Kareem? What would you suggest? I wonder if we have questions. I think let's stop and see if we have questions, because I don't want to not take care of all the questions. So if we have questions, please do come forward, or reflection, because there should be reflections as well. We may not have questions, but should be reflections. Any aha moments?
Yeah, subhanallah, subhanallah. I don't know about the other friends, but I found it very, very interesting. And I think to make sure that we remember these learnings, we should be reading these Quranic ayats over and over again on a regular basis to at least have this opportunity of not forgetting, as you mentioned, because as Maulana Sultan Muhammad Shah mentioned, we keep on forgetting. And as you mentioned, we go back to the start every time, and we never really progress. So that was the one learning I took away, which I think is quite important. Friends, if you have any questions, comments, reflections, please come forward.
Zara, are you saying something?
Yes, Yalimada. So I did grasp a lot of things from that. There was something which you said that dua is so mechanical. Sometimes we don't even understand when we are praying, right? And that is so true. That now that I'm so focused, sometimes when I don't connect during dua, I immediately understand that I did not pray today. And it's such a conscious biting inside that I'm kind of beating myself inside that I didn't even connect with your Mola today. And that is something which is so true, that if we don't connect, we wasted that time. We cannot get that moment back. And that regret stays in me till the next time when I pray and I feel like, okay, well, I got you back again. But it is very mechanical. And if you are not prepared to get into prayers that moment and you have so many other things around in your mind, yes, we gotta clean that before we go into Jamaat Khana. Very important.
Alhamdulillah. So about dua is, difficult because it is in Arabic, right? Still, it is easier to focus on farmans and sometimes ginans as well, because if you know Gujrati, then you will understand some words. In Arabic, it is difficult, and that's why we are weak in Arabic. And I hope that now, when we are studying Quran, our Arabic is also going to get better, because we are going to learn the words. So it is extremely important to memorize the translation. And then we are so blessed that Dr. Saib and Rashida Saiba are doing these sessions of Holy Dua, and they are going into such detail. And there is this book, Dua, Essence of Ibadat, they are covering. So, when you said you feel guilty, personally, I feel, instead of we being guilty, we find out what can we do better. Because guilt can drown us into nowhere, right? It does not lead us anywhere. And we have to convert that guilt into actions. So first important key is that we have to memorize the meanings of the words, number one, and number two is to attend those sessions, understand those sessions, and read that book to be able to connect with the dua. And this question has actually been asked so many times, and I will tell you one thing which is, I have done, and it is interesting, because in Jamaat Khana, when you are saying dua with Jamaat, sometimes the dua is said so fast or with so many mistakes sometimes, or the way it is being said, you just can't connect. It is very difficult. So one strategy which we must do is that when we come home, we say our own dua again. It's a practice. Remember, there's no harm in saying dua 2 times, 3 times. I mean, it is dua. We are praying. We are having, hoping to have conversation with Imam and pray to him, right? So you say your dua loudly and you hear yourself. That will help you connect to dua better. So there are those, dua reciters. They say dua so beautifully, and you connect. You have no difficulty. That is why, there was a time, if you read Kalam-i Mubin, Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah has said that those who are given the turns, right, in Jama'at Khana, they should have good voices and they should have command on languages, and then they should be given, chances. But of course, nowadays we see it's not applicable, because everybody wants to say it, and we do want to promote, because otherwise people will not learn. Our kids, we give them turns in Jamaat Khana on Saturdays, and if you listen to these children, they make a lot of mistakes. And yes, we want to encourage them. But I remember, in 30 years ago, 40 years ago, if a child would make a mistake, they will not get a turn in Jamaat Khana. They have to perfect it. But of course, these times have changed. So we do what we need to do to promote and encourage our kids and parents that they are reciting dua in Jamaat Khana. But sometimes it is really, really critical that when they say, they make really lots of mistakes, and even adults, right? The way Dr. Saib was telling us that simple as Alhamdulillah, Allah, people still say Alhamdulillah, right? So pronunciation and the dua reciter's connection. How do we what I'm saying? Let me give you another example. Somebody who sings Ginan and you enjoy it thoroughly, but somebody else singing the same Ginan, you don't enjoy it. It is the reciter, their heart and their connection also helps us to connect. So when you say that you cannot connect, the best strategy is that when you sit down, like before going to bed, when you have this conversation with Imam, say your dua again. Say your dua again loudly and connect, and say it slowly and enjoy your dua. You will be able to do Girya Uzari in your dua. So sometimes, I myself end up doing that, because in Jamaat Khana, you don't enjoy the dua. So that can be, a strategy to say dua where you connect with it completely. Remember, Jamaat Khana and Jamaat Khana ceremony, I always say it is like a classroom. That you are in the class, teachers will teach you and tell you to do homework, and that is it. You are done. Classroom times are very brief. But it is the homework time where the students really, really focus and really grasp what was being taught. And those who do not do homework with attention, right? They do not grasp the concept. So they pass very, very barely. They make it through grades barely, but they never learn it, the way they ought to learn, right? So similarly, it is for us that we take complete advantage of being in the class. And then, remember, if the class is for 1 hour, homework is probably for 3 hours, right? So then we do our homework as well. So we are not trying to blame any dua reciters. We got to do what we got to do. We need to understand, we need to connect, and we need to say our dua again to be able to connect. So Zara, I hope that, we would think differently. Yes, we feel guilty, but guilt has to be converted into action. Otherwise, that guilt is temporary.
Yes, completely agree, because I guess, like you said, back 20 years back, I came from India and I was taught parrot meaning. Now that when I've made sense to the meaning, and when I recite the dua, it just goes like auto in my head and it attaches to the dua. And sometimes the reciters are so fast, or maybe I don't blame anybody, but maybe I'm not connected that moment. So thank you for letting me know that I can come and pray dua on my own too, to connect to Mola back. Because I always feel like when I come, I didn't pray dua. Like this morning, I prayed dua, but the dua was so fast in the morning, I couldn't connect. I was chasing in that dua. I
Yes.
was chasing, and I'm like, okay, I keep giving sajda. I'm going back. I'm trying to get my meaning in, and it's gone.
Yeah.
That time is finished. So
I
thank you.
absolutely relate to you. Yes,
I'll
I
pray.
feel that.
I'll pray at home. Thank you.
Yes, yeah. So you attend Jamaat Khana and you'd say your dua again. And it's okay to do that. It's perfectly fine. Dua is such a beautiful conversation with Imam, you know. So we say it again, and it's beautiful. And our children, probably, you know, who are you young, you have not said their dua, we say it with them and say it slowly. So they also learn that there is a difference in dua saying to dua saying, you know. So that was wonderful. Thank you, Zara, for bringing that up.
Thank you.
And I see Kareem has posted, announcement for the Jashan today. We say happy birthday to Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah, right? It is Maula's Faramin that we are studying and learning so much. Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah was a unique Imam. He was amazing, amazing. And the Hidayat from this Imam, the Faramins we have, in such detail, it is just amazing. So we are truly, truly grateful to Maula and his, Hidayat. And today we will celebrate his, birthday together in Jashan, in celebration. So someone asked me about Jashan, what is Jashan? And if you attend classes in the evening as well, that was one of the question. And I never got a chance to reach there. So Jashan, just briefly, actually the word Jashan is in Urdu, in Arabic, Urdu and Farsi. In English, it means Jubilee. And do you know when the Jubilees were started? In Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah's time. So when we say Jashan, actually we are celebrating Jubilee. The word Jubilee means Jashan, and we are going to have celebration of his, life. Amazing, amazing Imam. So I would love all of you to join and enjoy Maula's memories and his hidayat and his guidance. Of course, we are going to learn a lot as well. Anybody else has it? Oh, Mulali Madad.
नियामत साहब रूह को कैसे बाहर निकालें?
Very good question. रूह को कैसे बाहर निकालें? So it is, if you have listened to the lectures of Baitul Khayal Faramins, we have studied Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah's Baitul Khayal Faramin, and in those Faramins, Gujrati sessions, by the way, we have studied in great detail Imam guiding how to bring your soul out of body. And it is through the power of Ism-e Azam. It is through the power of Ism-e Azam when we are during the daytime with knowledge, with remembrance, with glasses. Now we all understand what is glasses. We spend our 23 hours with Zikr Ibadat, Girya Uzari, Ilm, Amal. When we sit for that 1 hour in Ibadat and we are reciting our Ism-e Azam the way we ought to recite, it does help us in getting our soul out. Soul can come out and it can come back, and it happens in the splits of seconds, right? And this taking of the soul out, it's the later stages. Remember, we were talking about it last Thursday only, right? That the first miracle we hear is listening through our ears, buzzing sound in the ears, because it senses by senses open up, and then eventually the whole soul is able to come out. So the point I'm trying to make is that when we are following the conditions, meaning ibadat bhi kar rahe hain, din ke waqt zikr bhi kar rahe hain, और दिन के वक्त जो है हम जो है गिरियाजारी कर रहे हैं, इल्म की बातों को समझ रहे हैं, आमाल की पाकीज़गी कर रहे हैं, तो रूह जिस्म से बाहर निकल सकती है. रूह जो है ख्वाब के वक्त भी निकल सकती है, इबादत के वक्त भी निकल सकती है. Yes, and you will know that your soul is out. But remember, to be able to know that the soul is out, you need to know that the soul is inside you. Right now, what we just studied, people forgetting that there is a soul as well. So if those who are learning properly, they are doing the homework. Remember, classroom is always limited. It is all about homework. Those who are truly following the teachings and understanding and doing the work which is required, first they will know there is a soul. They will continuously nourish the soul. senses by senses, the Batni inner senses will open up, and they will be able to realize the soul when it comes out. Because remember, when soul comes out, soul enters back again. Otherwise, physically, we will be dead. Remember, all these teachings are doing these, seeking these miracles while being alive. If the soul is out, the body has no soul, meaning what? Right? So remember, there is not one soul in our being. So what I'm saying again, we have to study what is soul. We have to study that concept. What is soul? There's a whole book on the soul. And we think that that book has so many different verses or so many different questions, 100 questions. It is different from my soul. Why do I have to take such a hard work to understand my soul? Those who think like that, I'm truly sorry, because it is all about the soul. So first, knowing the soul, taking out is far away. You know, it is very interesting. Every time I say that, right? Somebody would throw terms and say things because they've heard these things. And I would say, no, go step by step. And people may not like that answer, but unfortunately for those who don't like it, that is the reality. That is the reality. So what we are asking, how do I remove the soul? That is far away. What is the soul? Am I feeding the soul? And if you want to know what is the soul, have you studied the book, What is Soul? Have you truly understood it? Have you studied all the Quranic verses? Because it is only through knowledge that you will have glasses. Let me tell you this also, that there are miracles which Imam gives to those who don't have knowledge. They experience things, but they don't understand it because they are so pious. They do zikr ibadat, and Imam gives whom he wills, right? We don't know who he will give. So they may have these experiences, but they will never understand it. They'll fear it probably. There are very many friends who have come with different experiences, fearing it, stopping to do ibadat. So what I'm saying again, that if we truly want to see, हमको पता चलेगा, definitely पता चलेगा. When we have the knowledge, then only we will know, and then we will be able to go into sajda and say, Shukr Mola that I witnessed this miracle. Otherwise, how would we know? So again, this, point which is very, very important, that we do need to pick up these books like What is Soul. And if you really want to study this book with ease, Nachis has explained this book during COVID time in a very, very simple way. So first study those lectures with the book, and then go to the lectures of Dr. Sahib and Rashida Sahiba, because they've also covered in great detail at a higher level. So you can climb step by step to understand first what is soul. And then later go to the part of Mola, bless me with this miracle to get the soul out, and let me witness it as well. Give me this intellect so I can see it as well. And believe me, it will happen. Ji Zara.
Sorry, one more question. When you say do Giryawazari or tasbih in abundance, can you explain that part? Abundance could be, I could take 1,000, but I'm not there into it. Or I may take 40, but I'm into that tasbih. But if I want to keep going, is there a number that you say, hey, we can at least do 1,000 to make that abundance, to reach that quantity?
Very good question, Zara. And there are lectures about that as well. Okay, zikr tasbihat pe bahut sare lectures hain. Briefly, every zikr has its own quantity. Every zikr, every Isme Azam has its own quantity, but we don't know that quantity. When we complete that quantity, let me give you an example. Let's say for La ilaha anta subhanaka inni kuntu minaz zalimin, it is 124,000 times. I'm just making up a number, right? When you say it 124,000 times, then that zikr actually becomes alive for you. What does that mean? That every zikr has its own assigned angels. This question, right, that why do I have to say zikr when I have the Isme Azam, which is the supreme name, Bada Naam, right? Kare Buzruk, we say all that. But remember, the important point we have to realize that every zikr has its assigned angels, right? And what do angels have? Wings. What are we just trying? We are hoping for ourselves. Let my soul come out and fly and see outside. For the soul to come out, it needs wings. We are humans, we don't have wings. So who's going to help us fly? Our angels. How are we going to attain angels? By doing abundant zikr. Because we don't know any zikr which we like, right? We don't know what is the number for that zikr. Do we know that even for Isme Azam, the task which we are assigned is to complete that Isme Azam, meaning complete the number of the zikr, quantity of that Isme Azam, and the way we have to recite. So one is quantity, another is quality. Both are required. When we complete, it is the time for promotion. So remember, Isme Azam or other askar, each have assigned numbers and we don't know that number. So whatever zikr comes to us, right? Let's say today the zikr came to me, La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minaz zalimin. I have to say this zikr as much as possible because it just came to me. Now, the intention I may have set with my friends, Kaziul Hajat Namat Ya Ali Mushkil Kusha. And minimum, I can say it 40 times, I can say it 100 times, I can say it 500 times, 1,000 times. It is my intention. I have made that decision. So I have to complete that number, right? And remember, Zara, it is very important that you want to be realistic. Do not make unrealistic goals and then not be able to complete the intention, because then there is sin as well. So make realistic goals, number one. Number two, remember when we are saying that we live with glasses all the time reflecting, sometimes when we are doing the worldly work and our intellect is involved, right? We are doing things where our mind is needed. We cannot think or, reflect on things. We just can't, because there is a mind required to do the worldly task. At that time, it is easier to just say, La ilaha anta subhanaka inni kuntu minaz zalimin, La ilaha anta subhanaka inni kuntu minaz zalimin. And even if you forget that, like disconnect happens, continue to do zikr. So what I'm saying, that there are times when you are reflecting, when you are thinking, and there are times when you are doing just zikr, because you're not using your mind. Now, right now, you're not doing your intention, but you are just doing that zikr. So as a moment, you constantly want to stay with zikr. That is the food for our soul. Remember, if the soul is weak, how is it going to come out? We have to nourish our soul so it can come out. And when it will come out, all these angels which we have invited in our personal world by doing the zikr, they will help the soul to fly, to see, and then bring back, right? So if you realize all these things, if you understand, these are all interconnected, all interconnected. Now, when you have knowledge, then you will only understand the importance of the zikr. You will understand the importance of the quantity and quality, and you will be able to understand your experiences as well. Otherwise, you will not understand it. There are detailed lectures, Zara. I would encourage you to listen to those as well. Ask Kareem and Naveen Saiba, so they can help you. Okay?
Yeah, will do. Thank you.
We have a question in the chat from Salma Saiba. Buzzing happens anytime or only ibadah time?
So buzzing, if it happens anytime, you may not even realize it. You might think that there's a fly near you, right? Because we live in outside world. It is possible if you leave the door open, there may, flies or insects can come inside the home. In ibadat time, it is more evident. And it is ibadat time that Mawla wants to give you glad tidings, because you're sitting quietly, peacefully, and you are not, in an environment where there'll be flies or mosquitoes. At that time, when you hear this buzzing sound, you know that Mawla Bapa is talking to you. When Quran says the Ba'uza, right? The example of Ba'uza, the fly, the buzzing of the fly. Mawla Ali actually says that Ana Ba'uza, I am that mosquito. So remember, we are talking about, just a fly making this sound in our ears, buzzing sound, which is nothing. But then Maula Ali says, I am that, fly. Can you imagine, which is mentioned in Quran, Ba'uza? So that tells us that Maula Imam comes to us in very many different ways. We have to be able to recognize him and be ready to receive him. It is a glad tiding, it is a busharat. Imam gives us step by step so we don't become scared, because all these things can make us kind of wonder and be scared of these things, right? Some experiences can be like that. So it is Maula's mercy that we, in ibadat time, hear this buzzing sound or smell something. There are so many ways, all senses are involved, and he gives you a glad tiding from different senses to let you know you're doing good, you're doing good.
Friends, any other comments, questions, reflections before we close the session? Thank you, Niamat Sahib, once again for a wonderful, thought-provoking session. Inshallah, we have learned a great deal from this, and we will put it into practice.
I mean, we all.
Thank you, friends, for joining, and inshallah, we'll meet again next weekend. Ya Ali Madad.
Yali Madad, Yali Madad,
Yali Madad.
Yali Madad.
Yali Madad,
Yali Madad.
Yali
Thank
Madad,
you very much.
Yali Madad,
Yali Madad.
Yali Madad.
Yali Madad,
Yali Madad.
Yali Madad.